Welcome. You are listening to Everybody Speaks. I am your host, Ray Reddy. Today I have a close friend of mine, someone that I've known for more than almost 14 years at this point. I'm 28, so that's almost half my life, but this man is a mover, a shaker, a baker, a Quaker. He is a creator. He is created all across the country. A dear friend of mine. I'm here with Alex Dixon.
Cautiously optimistic from afar. Here's a long call from heaven to get these hard-earned scars. It's a long road to Virginia. Hope you come my way. It's a long road to Virginia. Lord, I'm thinking I might stay.
I'm scared, brother.
Welcome. Excellent, dude. It's a pleasure to have you on. Pleasure to see you creating. For those who don't know, Alex is a artist manager on his own regards, but then also is working in his own regards as a passion project with the Re-Up and the Re-Up podcast, and so it's beautiful, brother. I'm loving seeing how the Phoenix is blossoming. What's good with the Re-Up? Tell me more.
Man, we just dropped episode 15 today with Amani Grace. So that was actually our first femme guest, which was way more difficult than I thought. Like in the beginning, I was like, oh, I'm going to just kind of go through my Rolodex of people who I know. And then after like episode 10, my co-host Bemo was like, we got to get some ladies on here. I'm like, bro, I mean, I've been trying, but it really made me notice that the music scene is very male dominated, because it was very easy to be like, okay, this person's coming to town. I never actually, from an artist standpoint, really thought about that. It's like, it's not like there aren't femme people making music, but predominantly, like when you look at bands.
Dude, it intrigues me as well, because one of the things, and I wish this came out in time, but tomorrow there's an all-femme lineup at Basic City. And that they have Joanna, Intellectual Rebel, and Thicko Mode, and then this other girl, and I was like, this is a gas lineup, all women.
Drum and bass.
Everything. There's going to be heavy, there's going to be drum and bass, there's going to be jungle. It's a little bit of everything, but it is all women, and I'm like, this is something that needs to be announced, but is something that doesn't happen often, because a lot of these music scenes are very male dominated. But no, that's beautiful. You said episode 15 as well. Yeah. It's crazy. When did you drop episode 1?
That was December.
Okay.
So
this past year?
Yeah, hasn't been
trucking.
Yeah, December will be at 1 year, and it's just been fun, man, especially for like the DC music scene. This cat's a Titan camera. Definitely for the DC music scene, because I go down to DC. Bemo lives in DC, and I'm originally from Nova. Of course, we're both from Nova, so it's been really cool to kind of like put something into the air that actually like helps. A lot of the time I'm doing something like being a part of a show, but like these things when you're recording are like tangible and are there forever, and like even if the platform isn't like as crazy or big as we want it to be now, it's like it's going to be there forever, whether it's like big artists, small artists, medium artists, people who make and like paint, people who we're having like other guests on now who are, I wouldn't say getting out of the music scene, but more so like we're having another podcaster on, like we're trying to kind of branch out. And we have some guests who are out of state. We've had like Kaylin Ellis, and we've had a few other people who are just coming through. So that's really
No, and it's interesting to see the way the I won't say the creators scene is happening, but not to interject as well. This episode is sponsored by Triple Crossing Falcon Smash, and so Alex as well. Feel free to dive in.
IPA guy.
No, it's delicious.
Dude,
allegedly the best beer in Richmond, but it intrigues me to see the way this creator realm is kind of taking off. That for people that create for others and kind of on the second level of kind of the media journalism is really not taking shape, but there's a space for it for people that want to get seen, in that if you are helping artists whatever the nature is. And musicians are a big one that want to get seen, but when you get into the realm of world that's creators, people are painters, people are curators of art, and in all different ways designers, and people love, once you dive into the artistry world and being an entrepreneur, putting your face on your brand is a major thing. And so it's massive to see how the re-up has grown in such a short time, and then also how weird things work like this. I'm a podcaster and I'm having another podcaster on. You're a man of many talents.
That's the thing to do. And I mean, the re-up, as you know, like, it had been around for a really long time. I mean, we ran that. It started off as a music blog for, like, anyone who's not from, like, the DMV area.
Well, and for you and I know this, and I have a unique perspective of knowing what the re-up was in high school. And for us, that was 14 years ago. But legendary, absolutely legendary. But can you elaborate on some of the early experiences that you had in high school? And this is circa 2010 to 2014, I guess. You graduated in 2012, I want to say?
Yep. Yeah.
So even before then, but in the early stages of podcasting, there was interviews. I mean, talk to me.
Yeah, it was just interviews, you know. Well, what really happened was I got bored. I did this, like, summer, like, pre-college program at Syracuse University, and I was in the entrepreneurship program, and I did the whole thing, and I met some, like, really cool people, but it wasn't for me. And it was, like, a whole experience. But then, like, out of that slight entrepreneurship, like, class, when I must have been, like, 16, 15, something like that. That's what I got out of it. You know, at this point, it was like, oh, a website. That's crazy, you know, because it's like fucking, 2009 or something like that.
When like, viral videos weren't even a thing. There was
so, like, dude, I used to get, like, 30K, 40K, 50K on, like, some videos when I was doing those interviews back in, like, 2009, 2010. Like, that's so much more difficult. And this is, like, I didn't even have that many videos. Like, now they say you need to feed the algorithm to get that up and use YouTube Shorts. But back then, it was actually, like, there were so many less videos on that, like, you could type in Mac Miller, and, like, your shit would come up, and, like, people were typing that in to find information.
Regularly.
Like, no, and it's like, we do get the 30, 40, views, but that's between, like, Instagram.
It's the realm. It's the realm that people are looking to get seen, and it's like, if you create art around an artist, I mean, Mac Miller is a legendary one, and obviously now, post facto, looks even more massive, but, like, there was so many mega people that, like, I know you guys did stuff with IDK. Did you guys do stuff with Juicy J?
Yeah, we did. That was actually taped in Richmond, that interview. I used a fake ID, and it was one of the first interviews that I got, and I remember I went in there with one of my buddies, and we, at one point, I remember this is at the Canal Club, we both had, like, we're double fisting drinks on the balcony of this, like, VIP pass. I still have it. And the last possible second when Juicy... By the way, it was one of those rap concerts, because they don't really have rap concerts like that anymore, where, like, a traditional rap concert, so many people on the stage. So, like, we were on the stage, me and my buddy, I'm just not even going to name him at this point, it's, like, getting a little incriminating, the fake IDs, but... basically Fat Trell was on the stage, we were, like, smoking a blunt, and, like, with him, like, on the stage, like, Juicy J's playing, like, this is wild, we're, like, kids, and then, we Juicy J is outside the venue at the end, and I, get my phone, and I record this interview for, like, 5 minutes, and, it was that easy back then.
And it's crazy, because it was the forefront of what we're seeing now, that, like, obviously you spent some time in Portland and worked more on your artistry. Now you're doing more artist management and getting into the business side and realizing that, like, there's a need for people, I'd say, like us, that create around other people, but very much are helping others get good media and helping them create around their brands. And so it's epic, and the knowledge as well that you have is dope. Has helped me, and I mean, it's beautiful to see how things like this are taking off. Both re-up has been balling. The kittens are going crazy. No,
it's funny how you say, like, creating good media for people, because, like, traditionally that, getting back to the re-up, it's like, yeah, I was doing the interviews, and then I was like, okay, like I have this camera, and it's like 2010, I can make money off of this. So I got in like photography, videography. I mean, like people like, you know, Peter Newen, Sketchy Pete, like me and him used to just be like event and festival photographers, and like I used to manage videographers and photographers, and we'd get press passes. We would shoot these bootleg after movies and drop them like a day after the festival, which is like unheard of back then.
Ridiculous.
Get like a few 10, 20,000 views to get taken off the internet for copyright stuff off YouTube. But it's funny, you know, I did that, and then I got into like the documentaries, music licensing. Now I'm in artist management. I do a lot of music licensing at my job.
And licensing is big, as you and I have talked about.
No, totally. And like for the people who are listening and watching, like that's putting songs in commercials and advertisements and things like that. And there's, you know, money behind
getting
it.
paid behind it. It's how you get paid for it. And
you're selling songs to the advertisers and the Netflixes and the Hulus and the brands and
the NFL
everyone
that uses them on the commercials, like seeing
everything.
I think it was FNF Chop and got put in a Thursday Night Football.
That's great. Yeah, we did DJ Harrison with the Polo Winter campaign last year. So that was like a big thing that we got him on.
Bro, watching, and I know, so you don't manage Butcher Brown, but you do manage some of the artists within it.
Yeah, we manage DJ Harrison. We work with Tennis Shoe.
Bro, and it's funny to me because as I explain Butcher Brown to some people, it's like it's a funk band, but they are a collective of individuals that go by Butcher Brown as a person, and there is no Butcher Brown person, but like it is, I mean, a collection of dope artists.
Yeah, they each individually do amazing things, and I'd say they do like jazz, soul, you know, jazz has so many different genres that touches and it's within, you know, and that's really important to it. It's a cat.
Oh, freaking Petunia, you
need to just have a camera on the cat too, so that just like cuts over this like funny thing the cat's
it's like just the cat cam just follows them coming in.
You should just put a camera on the cat, like strap one, and just like at some points you cut like the cat just like
running around my house, just comes into the room. You see Luke sitting back there.
But getting to like the thing that you mentioned with like making media for people. That was something that I've been like trying to get out of, and then like the podcast thing happened, and like I don't even really know where the idea came from, other than like I had been thinking about resurfacing the re-up for like a while, and then like blogs kind of died, so I was like, I can't really, like that would be so pointless for me to just like start making blog posts, because like nobody's gonna read that because nobody's reading blog, like it's all social media.
It's hard. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, and like is reading your fucking article, bro. I'm sorry.
It's
like,
fact.
Yeah,
fact.
Like they went on TikTok to get their information.
Unless you have a specific artist that is hard to get, and such as like a net spend or something. Yeah, it's unheard of.
I would maybe scan through a net spend article just to see what the fuck net spend is gonna say on paper.
No, in a big enough interview that like, I mean, Tommy Richmond has held off doing interviews and then just did his first one.
Zane Lowe.
And it's like these are there's levels to it of like, you know, if you know you have something big. I'm amazed that I got the Chandler interview, and then he went on was on the radar next, and I'm like, bro, I hit him up, and he went mega viral that week.
You know, people pay for on the radar, right?
Well, I bet there's a vice versa of both paying for it, and then I think there's versions where they reach out where it's like I don't think Yachty. You think Yachty?
I don't think Yachty paid, but I know he didn't pay. But that's like a different scale. Like a lot of the good rappers that you see that you would think they'd be like, oh, let's get like.
There's levels to it. There's levels, and it's the same. You and I talked about this at the beginning of this. Of like, in certain areas, like I'm not paying for you to show up here, but if I was grabbing an artist that I knew was going to pull those clicks, or in old times sell those tickets. Then you're obviously going to pay for them, and it's like.
And you know my opinion on that. I ain't paying for nobody on my podcast. Don't come back at me with no offer of this and that. Like what I do pay for is if I would pay for someone's transportation, but that is out of Southern hospitality.
To what extent? If
I wouldn't fly someone out, but if somebody is in. let's say Richmond, Virginia Beach,
passing through on tour.
Baltimore, you know, I'll put them on a train. I would put them on a plane. You know, whatever they're comfortable with.
Okay.
I will pick people. I've picked people up before
Yeah.
who we've interviewed. I've paid for a hotel before. If someone's coming from like Virginia Beach, and you know what I mean, like, hey, bro, like, get your hotel for the night. Like, that's not hospitality, though.
Oh, for sure.
I think that if I were to pay somebody X amount of money to be on my podcast, it would be very hard for me to do an authentic show, because I would feel the whole time that I need to get my money's worth out of it, and if I didn't, I would be kind of bummed out after.
Definitely,
was a waste.
definitely wouldn't. And then it's like if you post produce and they don't have the clicks that you assumed it would be,
yeah,
it's like
100%.
But it's there's levels to it that, like, you know, if you're trying to get those people that are big enough to pull, sometimes you do have to pay for it, and then in certain senses, when you're doing it for the love of the game and in properly, you're able to kind of pull these people in. And
yeah,
it blows my mind, because you guys have had some decently big artists in multi genres so far on Re-Up. To name, I can't even name a few, but like just seeing the
Young Chris, for Kalen Ellis,
Fawnville, Ten Issue, Harrison.
You know, I mean, it's
to name Butcher Brown there.
But then you see the difficulty of it, because it's like I'm not paying these people, so it's all off of word of mouth and examples, and showing them like the reels that have done well. And usually what I tell them is like, we're not about any gimmicks.
No,
so
100%.
Like yeah, you might see like some beers, you know, on here. Like, I'm actually not gonna, probably won't say nothing about. I not even offer you one unless you
yeah.
like I got the Topo Chico, like, also don't care. I'm not gonna ask you any clickbait questions. Like, it's just, you are going to get an authentic interview where you're going to feel comfortable even if you're a famous person.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring you to DC real quick.
No, and that's the proper DC, the DC experience. And I mean, you and I, being from the Alexandria, Northern Virginia, Fairfax area, I personally, and like, as you just said, we don't do clickbaity, but like, what do you classify the DMV locality-wise? Because people are starting to say Richmond. I saw something today that said that was arguing for Baltimore. And I was like, there's no fucking way. But
okay, so I'll explain right now. So you got DC, Maryland, and Virginia, and anything that is touching, you know, DC within a certain range, which some say is the metro, but I say that the DMV on the Virginia side would probably end like a little past like Quantico area, Triangle. Like, that's kind of like, okay, you're not really in the DMV anymore. You can kind of tell.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, like that's where, you know, Fredericksburg is definitely not the DMV. Stafford,
that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, probably not. You know what I mean? Like, that's you know, out there. And then,
no, and I think they're putting the silver line out there and trying to extend it that way.
Okay,
like,
then that can count then.
And that's what it makes more sense, but it very much
makes a little more sense. But I'm saying if you go out to Dulles, right, which is the DMV, like, you'll see how vast that is. Because when you're out in Dulles and you go towards Chantilly, you can see mountains from there.
Bro, and that's...
Like,
I don't fuck with that, the west side.
It's crazy.
Western Nova makes no sense to me, and I am grateful for my parents, but I realized we were on the water, and, like, if I took a 5-minute walk, I could go see Maryland, which is kind of crazy, but like
exactly. Same
very water. And then now I've found myself in Richmond.
I mean, I wasn't on the water, but like I could go a place and I could see Maryland for sure. By the river.
Bro, nor was I on the water, but it was in close enough to the Sparkway that like you just go.
When you say on the water, don't say.
Bro, but it's just like it amazed me to see how close we were to being in a like river Chesapeake Bay area of like we had a rinky-dink ass boat, but like we'd go out there and fuck off. My dad would get too drunk and we'd be stuck. But I mean,
and then Maryland, Baltimore is definitely not the DMV.
Hell no. Bemo, Baltimore is itself.
Bemo is its own thing. They don't want to be part of the DMV. They like not at all. I would say all of PG County definitely, and then. When you go to Frederick, you're not in the DMV anymore. That's its own place. Frederick is really close to West Virginia. I went on a hike, and I went a little past Frederick, and I was already in West Virginia. I'm like, I didn't even know this didn't even take long. Like it's crazy. And then Waldorf is not the DMV.
Hell no.
Beautiful out there, great nature. You can see all the stars out there. It's great, like, yeah.
But Waldorf's something else.
You should hang out there. Annapolis is not part of the DMV.
Annapolis is the Naval Academy's town.
That
beautiful.
Is its own thing. Also a nice spot. But yeah, I think that pretty much. I can't really think of too much that I missed there.
That's on the tees there, on the tees, and especially I think the emphasis is that Baltimore is a big enough animal and Richmond are big enough animals that they will never be a proper part of the DMV.
They don't want to be, just like Virginia Beach doesn't want to be part of Richmond or the DMV. Those are their own places. And the cool thing about Richmond is that when you're in Virginia, I can't think of a place that's more artistic and free-thinking, honestly, than Richmond in Virginia. I really can't. Virginia Beach is pretty, they're on that tip, but they have their own kind of thing going on. But it's like, sometimes I'm in Richmond and, me and Ray are at some, like, crazy warehouse function or, like, some park takeover and there's fire everywhere. I'm like, if they did this in Nova, everyone would get tear gassed by the cops.
There's no space.
Like, there's no fucking way.
Space to do anything like that.
I don't even imagine. I'm like, I don't even think I'm in Virginia sometimes. When I think about it, I'm like, this is crazy. I post these videos on my story and people are like, where the fuck are you? I'm like, I'm literally in Virginia, bro.
And it blows my mind. Back-to-back weekends, I went to 2 different warehouses that are completely underground on different sides of the city and are fully functioning venues that have just been operating for who knows how long, and under the proper terms that they are for the community, by the community, that like that all ages are allowed. And I was like, bro, this is an all ages show. They're playing heavy punk rock right now, screamo.
That's probably crazy.
And then Nick F came on, and I was like, bro, what is this? And then Troy, and I was like, bro, this is crazy. They're doing punk rock rap. But it's for the curation of art, that like they want the live energy, come out, get wild. And I was like, and then last weekend was a dungeon, and that place was crazy.
That was crazy. I feel like I was more excited than you were tired.
No, I was
having the time of my life.
As you can see, I'm doing Sober September, or whatever the fuck they say. But I've been trying to cut back on I've been trying to cut back on some of my.
Cutting back is good. I used to drink a beer or 2 after work every day for years, and now I've gotten to the point that I like to get to is where I don't need it. And if I have an urge to do something, I don't stop myself, but I have to think about like why I'm doing it. Am I sad? Am I bored? Am I anticipating something? Am I getting ready for something? As long as I have that detail in my mind, fine. But I feel like when it gets on to like, there have been times I've been like, I have literally been wake and baking for years straight. Like, I stopped that recently. Not stopped, but like, I don't wake up
the routine.
Dab pens. I don't fucking buy those anymore because those are too fucking easy.
Convenient. Way too convenient, bro. And I'm getting...
I feel you.
It's honesty, and it's one of those things that, like, in this modern society, the problem that I see is some of this convenience that, like...
We're in the future.
The cars aren't flying yet, but like we can text and call and be anywhere you want to be in VR.
Places. They have flying cars.
Yeah, it's like it's ridiculous, and so I tasked myself with trying to not overtly drink, and then in that particular day, I filmed for I think 5 hours at this one place and was ready to go to sleep. And then I bought a 6-pack, and they were heavier beers as well. And so that was not helping any of the stay awake energy. And then I've been cutting out extracurriculars in terms of the evening activities, and was not feeling awake. But then that's a great, honestly brings us to another topic that I'm very curious your opinion on. But we saw Christ Dillinger, and he is... in some senses a little B, in some senses a blue face, being offbeat, being all this, but he sells, and that shit, when I got in there, the adrenaline started going, and I killed, I think, 5 of those IPAs. And
they
like,
just kept kicking everyone off stage, and we were like, no, we're just me. I was just smoking this comically sized blunt, and it's like,
bro, one of the cameramen had a fucking bag of weed and was like,
he sold me weed. Actually, I was just gonna say I bought weed from his really good weed.
He gifted weed in Virginia. You're only allowed to gift. It's not legal yet.
Oh yeah,
but that
he
being
gifted
said,
me weed. He did gift me.
But it was a party favor, and it was insane to see
really good weed.
The pull of someone like that. And then now that getting into it, like there's a couple songs that are that crazy energy, crazy party energy, but have been saved on my playlist and put in certain areas where like I see how it sells. But my question to you is, what is your thought about this new age era of hip hop? And I say like there's rap that's happening in Richmond, and then there's like this pop hip hop rap that like
yeah.
What did we see this weekend? What did you call that?
I feel like it's a progression of like the cloud rap kind of stuff, like you're kind of saying with like Lil B, but it's some people like to put it towards more of the hyper pop stuff. Some people put it towards Opium, which is Playboy Cardi, his kind of label.
Okay. No, and I love.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. It's pretty
different. It's different.
The crash out type stuff. There's so many terms we could just go down to explain that. But it's the youth. You know how stupid Lil B was when we were young, and now he has songs with legends.
But he is a legend. Legend.
Like
absolute legend.
He helped, father that shit. But it's just, I mean, you can call it others getting old and being like, that's stupid, but when you take an open mind to it, like someone like Christ Dillinger, like he can rap.
It's interesting, and
like,
as I've dove in more, really,
like he can rap. I mean,
some of it's sitting in my head, and I get these itches when people create art. It sits in my head, and like my roommate was playing a Creaso song that Sawyer played in his set, and after editing it for hours, this song is stuck in my head. That like every time I hear it, it hits that itch, and like bro, the Dillinger, as I'm diving into his thing, I'm like, all right, I get the guys. I see how what is selling with the nature of this. It's a little rowdier, and as I hate to be like less conscious. I mean, he's sitting there telling people more Molly, more E, more liquor, more weed, and it's like that's a great hook. Simple.
Yeah, it's a great hook, and
but
it's like
not telling people to be conscious. And then I saw they were getting pissed at people for drawing on the walls and being crazy, and I'm like, that's not saying you sold that, but like that's kind of the crowd you brought out with the artist.
No, 100%. I mean, even before this show, I was like, whoa, Chris Dillinger's playing. Like, that's crazy that he's actually like gonna be there. Like, is he gonna show up? Like, is he gonna destroy something? Like, this is like, it's like some hardcore type shit. It's like the same, you know what I mean? Like, you ever see the videos of just,
bro, yeah,
like it's that type shit. Like,
it intrigued me. It intrigues me you say that because like when we were, I'm glad you told me to bring the camera. We were sitting there backstage and like
I'd be disappointed if you didn't at that point.
Oh, bro, I'd have been so, but like seeing how that shit went down, that like, and I don't want to name drop or anything. I don't know these folk enough. I'm getting in there, and I love having the camera and having the Ray Cam run around because the shit I see is insane. But watching Christ come up to Boobie Holiday and say, yo, make sure no one cuts my set. Make sure no one cuts my set. And then he goes up there, gets like 20 minutes into probably like 10 minutes into his set. And then literally the sound guy, and I love the sound guy as well. I'm not going to say his name, but that, like those people, to donate your equipment and then to have someone do like a Rage Against the Machine performance where they're like throwing shit, jumping on the table. Watching some of the camera videos, someone literally bumps into Christ and like turns around, and like I thought he was gonna jump and like punch him, and then he daps the guy up, and then he jumps down there on stage and starts going crazy, and then next thing you know, the sound people that donated the CDJs cut it off, and they're like, yo, fuck this, like I want to play my CDJs tomorrow, like this is more valuable than you being a wild card. But like
Boobie,
Boobie was the guy wearing the goggles that said MILF Dad, and then was also the co-partner of Pickle Cellar that Booby Holiday and Pickle Cellar are the ones that allegedly threw that show. I also now in reading and observing saw that
shout out Pickle Cellar though.
Dude, shout out Booby and like bro, legends, and now seeing it, I saw that they kept calling Booby around to run it, and Pickle Cellar was getting called to all the same spots. But like,
yeah,
it intrigues me to see because Booby has shifted from being a rapper in that kind of nonsensical state to being more of a producer and really wants to get into the producing nature. That, I mean, is another conversation. And you mentioned SoundCloud. What are your thoughts on SoundCloud having a resurgence right now? Because I think we're experiencing.
It's great. I was thinking of it the other day. I mean, I've had actually, I would say the podcast that has the most listens on one platform for me would be on SoundCloud. Is the Ryan Celsius one? Yeah, because it's really hard to get. I mean, over 1,000 listens, I would say, on like something that's an hour plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's a little. It doesn't get put in the algorithm like that.
Bro, once you get the pull and people watch it all the way through, but to ask your friends to cut out an hour to dedicate to you is a lot.
I don't even dedicate an hour to any listening other than an album. Really, like I couldn't.
When I get the time, and as I've been doing a lot more editing, I'll like cut out times where I'm like, all right, we're gonna do something fun and just experience rather than like plugging in or DMing or doing all this crazy shit that I'm doing. I'm like, this is exactly what I do, where I threw on, of all fucking things, I have disc 2 of the Damn album by Kendrick on vinyl.
Oh yeah, Damn is a great album.
Excellent fucking album.
Great merch too.
I mean, all around, but like listening to it front to back, it's like song 6 to song 9 of the album.
I haven't listened to that one in a while.
Bro, and it's, I mean, an excellent one that you really get to experience, but it just intrigues me because like these scenes are popping up, and you being more in the business scene have seen some of these folks, I guess, not get the pull or the light that they should. But I feel like right now SoundCloud is the platform for artists to do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so here's the thing with SoundCloud is you can put samples. You can't put samples on SoundCloud with your music that are uncleared and shit, but you can get away with it.
Yeah.
With different tactics. You do that on Spotify if you can get deeper into it, which if you watch our Ryan Celsius interview, he explains how you can do that on Spotify as well. But like SoundCloud's tradition where you could put a flip. You can't do that on Spotify.
No, YouTube, and they flag the Sawyer set, whereas, you know.
No, totally. And if your stuff does get flagged, all you do is email the person who made the song.
Yeah.
And I've done it. I mean, on our first episode actually of my podcast, we were being dumb, and because like we used to smoke a lot of weed on the podcast in like the first 5 episodes. We don't really do it anymore. Not that I don't want to smoke. Like I'm down if somebody specifically says, but I'm not gonna entice it just because I know that I'm not gonna be as like spot on. Like I'm kind of like we have a producer, but then like I'm also like kind of quarterbacking some shit low key. So it's like a little different, right?
No, it's you got to be dialed.
Yeah, so we got really high, and we were talking about UK drill with Amal from Black Rave Culture, and it was like the first episode, and I was trying to explain UK drill to Bemo, and me and Amal were like really in it. We're like, bro, you're on that UK drill tip, like. Oh yeah, like fucking Central C, all this shit, you know what I mean? And then we play a song on a Bluetooth speaker, and we're just like vibing to it. And it's a great fucking interview. Like we literally spend like 3 minutes just like vibing to the song. And then I thought about it later. I'm like, well, I have to either cut out that entire portion, or it's just like we're just gonna be dancing around with no music. Unless I get this cleared. So I did get the song cleared. I got the song cleared. It never got taken down from anything, and it totally has a song that's signed to Republic Records, which is like huge. And like those people, they email back fast. Like they emailed back fast. It got delayed like 3 days from when I wanted to.
And it's one of those things as well as we talked about where like people want to get seen, and so you drop in a UK drill song in a podcast happening in DC, like it's. Yeah. And when you take the stuff correctly, it definitely has the pull and people receive it correctly. Luke and I, shout out the producer Luke, we just went and met up with his venue, and like me going in there properly and having the numbers and shit ready to go comes off differently. That like the sound isn't necessarily what the venue wants to hear, but when they see the backside of it, of like, yo, you know, shout out the who's the UK drill guy?
It's not Central C. That one was Unknown T that we were playing. Yeah, Unknown T.
Okay.
Right Hand by Unknown T.
Interesting now, but it blows my mind because I feel like, especially as you said there, the ability to get stuff cleared on SoundCloud is where you really get the ability to have that freedom of expression where like
you don't have to email anyone really. What you do is you either put a moment of silence before it for a little bit and then you play the whole track out, or I mean, you say fuck it, nothing happens.
No, and I mean, for a lot of people, like seeing the way some of the Richmond folk and folk that I've met through Richmond, of like there's a guy that's now based in Charlotte, Empty,
yeah,
and has a heavy deep bass. I love it, but is doing excellent on SoundCloud. Who was Kevin KVN, and we're doing a show with him soon. Is doing excellent on SoundCloud, and then having his stuff get pulled out and pinched and popped by Subtronics and these bigger artists because he's able to do a flip of a song that's good. Like, I tried throwing in 30 Seconds of Ecstasy in the Soul in a YouTube clip, and they would not let me throw anything. Anything, not even 10 seconds.
Yeah, it's because of content IDs. So when you distribute a song, essentially, and that's putting it on the different platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, etc., it has an identifier to it, and this including Meta as well, so and TikTok. So with that identifier, and I don't know enough about coding to tell you what that is. It doesn't really matter in the situation.
No, it picks up on it.
Yeah, through the distributor on my side, when I put the song on the platforms, I can click and I can say block, I can say monetize, and I can just you can do like nothing essentially. So usually I click monetize because that just lets people do it and I get money.
Yeah.
Like
when you say you as the artist.
As the artist, yeah. Or, I mean, distributor is someone who controls the rights of the song, so I collect the money.
Well, it's like last week I made a Reels and it automatically synced the song that I had playing and clipped it to the whatchamacallit, and it's very much as I think you just described, where the distribution company said, "Fuck yeah, let's put this in our shit."
Yeah, it's fine. You can do that.
Gets them paid.
It's just unmonetized. So then, what I do, if for example, this is actually a funny story. So I don't think I've really ever told this story to many people except my roommates. But Gurf, he's a producer out of Baltimore, and one day he hit me up and he's like, "Hey, dude, Rip and Dip stole one of my songs, the brand Rip and Dip, and they put it on a commercial." And, like, I was pretty busy at the time, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll see what's up. And what I did, because I have done this a few times in my job in music licensing, so I hit them up and I was like, hey, you know, here's the video that you guys used. Essentially, when you are selling something, like a product, on even social media, like Instagram, whatever, and you use music, you have to pay somebody to do that.
Especially
you have to pay the artist because you're selling a product. It's illegal. You can use royalty-free music, but regular people's music, a Drake song, a song that you made even, is not royalty-free when you're selling something. If you're just making a content video on Instagram, that's fine. That's fine. Anyone could use your music.
But someone using
once
it
you
for
start
a commercial,
selling something, then it's legally something that you have to pay for unless you have an agreement.
Shout out Gurf.
So basically he hit me up. He's like, "Hey, dude, can you get these people to, like, you know, pay me because I heard you know about music licensing." I was like, "Bet, I'll see what's up." I'm pretty good at fucking finding emails. I have like a whole system. It's great. So I find essentially the CEO of Rip and Dip. I email him. I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna need to either get compensation for the song." And I send him like a whole invoice breakdown, and I send him the video, or we're gonna block the video. So what I said earlier with the choices you have in the distributor, if you press block, then it will take the sound out of every single use of the video, YouTube, everything. If I press block. So essentially, I have the power then because they're already spending tons of money on this ad. Mm-hmm. They had a whole product, that a collab product. So like they're not backing off.
No, for sure.
And yeah, we gave him the price. He actually Venmo'd it.
But
like, yeah, it's like that's the power of content ID, for sure. Like, and if you're distributing through these people like DistroKid, it's a little more difficult because you're gonna have to talk to the customer service to do that. But yeah, I have different ways of distributing that make it really easy and just click of a button. Oh, man, I need another one. These Falcon Smashes.
Yeah, if you want, I also have the Baby Falcons too.
From what brewery?
Triple Crossing. TC. Shout out TC. Yeah, shout out Selmir. Gas Ass Album. Off World Podcast. 7%er. Do you want a 7%er or do you want the 5.5?
I'll take a 7%.
In the dog. What are your thoughts on the Falcon Smash?
It's good, man. It's juicy IPA. From what I mean, it's an IPA, but it tastes a little juicy, but not like tropical juicy. Still got like that malty, hoppy flavor to it, and it's like, I think it's a good IPA when you can't taste this specifically 7%. Like I can feel it, but it's not like. You know what I mean? Like 7%.
No, elite, and it's an elite partnership.
I'm an IPA guy, so I appreciate it.
IPA a lot. Let me say that. I don't know. That's we won't go down that rabbit hole. But when I drink, I go pee a lot. So that's one of the reasons I've been cutting back. It's just one of those things.
Pee a lot, damn.
Well, it's like I hate to say I have a bladder of a 5-year-old, but some of my friends see that when we go on these bender weekends, it's I turn into a little piss bag, and like every 30 minutes. Okay, that's sure. All right. So this is a $1 million, some would say a $3 million question, but you've now lived in Richmond for almost a year or so?
Over a year.
Hey, congrats, welcome. What would you do if you had $3 million and were tasked with improving the city of Richmond?
I would put even more murals everywhere. That is what I would do. And I would probably put underrepresented communities to the front there. And I think it's a little more difficult to say like, oh, only people in Virginia can make these murals, but I think that would be a cool concept. Because if you see, Richmond has the most murals per capita of any city in the United States. So that's great, but to be honest, a lot of these murals are not actually made by people in Virginia or Richmond. Some of them are, but a lot of the crazy ones that you really like there is Nils. Like, Nils is international yet in Richmond as well. But they fly people out, bro. Like, there's crazy shit here.
It intrigues me because I've seen the growth of a couple local artists, and to name drop because they're excellent. Chris Visions, excellent guy who's art is now in jeopardy at the pickleball courts in the old power station. But then there's also Hamilton Glass that bro, is excellent. And then he just did one across the street from Skybox, R.I.P. D5, but is a mural about the American Civil War and some of this. And then Chris Visions just did a parking deck where they did epic.
Yeah, the parking deck in Carytown.
No, epic, and it's like this is exactly on that guise of paying Virginia artists to be creative and then giving them the ability to encourage that next generation that Hamilton brought in high schoolers that were in their senior thesis and was like, hey, if you're an art student, let's make some art. Let's do it, and it's very much. I love it. It's
really cool.
This city has a crazy amount of art, and I think we're the second highest per capita in tattoos or tattoo parlors, possibly.
Okay, I think I've heard that fact before.
But it just intrigues me because the art happens so naturally, and I'm curious how many of the murals were made by outside folk. But there's so much that happens.
The mural game is a pretty big thing.
For sure.
I've said on the Rio podcast a lot how it's just it's a good way to fight gentrification because you can burn down the buildings, but you can't in a sense of getting away with it. They'll just rebuild it, whatever.
No,
but you can beautify it. You can I've had ideas.
Leave your touch.
I've had
Yeah.
ideas, like, I live in Churchill, like, I live in, basically Mosby Court, and, like, it's fucked up over there. It looks great, looks nice, but I would love to go to the church and ask about the people who have died, who are influential in that exact community, and get different people to do renditions of just, like, faces.
Oh, bro, and
of
the
them
mural,
and
the
things
mural,
like that, 'cause like
the mural
that's-
2 blocks from the church. That's like think, and
Yeah,
it's like,
I love that one.
Bro, excellent.
It's done really well, and it's a great concept. But I think that there are artists
To add-
who I know of
add
who
more.
could do even crazier shit with the
Oh,
same
for sure,
concept.
for sure. When I'm curious,
But I love that's like it's funny. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite mural in Richmond, but I love it because when you turn there, it's like closer to my house type.
no,
deal.
when
It's like
and
a
that
landmark for
part
me.
of town needs more
Yeah.
thought-provoking art like that that encourages kind of the conscious
Yeah.
perception, and so
Yeah.
it's one that stuck in my mind, sticks in yours, and like
No, totally.
just-
My favorite mural in Richmond, though, is the and I don't even know if it's here anymore. To be honest, I think it is. But there's a 7-Eleven on campus that has the girl drowning in the strawberry moonshine. I don't know if that one's still there anymore.
with the what?
It's a big jar of strawberry
Which-
moonshine. There's a girl drowning.
Which 7-Eleven on camp? There's only
There. It's the one with the biggest wall behind it. It's not.
not the one next to the stadium or not the field. The Picolas get tight. That's a 7-Eleven that comes to mind.
I think, yeah, but it might not be there
That's
anymore.
just down the
because I
road.
was thinking about it, and I was like, one, I don't go to that. Like, all those 7-Elevens are like, why would you go there? In fact, 7-Elevens in general, I can only think of one in Richmond that is, like, not sketchy. Because, like, 7-Elevens are, like, get really, really sketchy in Richmond. That's, like, not really...
Yeah,
it's
not
kind of
great.
weird.
And what intrigues me, and that's not even to riff Ray. it's an oddity idea
oddity.
that I want to open up a corner store
Ooh,
because
interesting.
7-Elevens are killing it, and it's like that micro business. You buy a 24-pack of water,
7-Elevens are awful.
sell them for $1 a piece, and it's like you're making $20 on a 4-pack of water.
No,
And so-
100%. I really like...
No one steal that
One-Way
shit.
Market. Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, I don't even know if I want to tell anyone this idea.
No,
like,
fucking-
but no, that idea that I mentioned, I even if somebody else did, I would do it fucking 3
No.
times fold. I don't.
No, and
that's
it's-
the thing with ideas. It's like if you really care about the idea, you would want more people to engage in the idea and do the same thing because that should only if you really care about it, that should only fuel the idea because like if you're thinking big level, top level shit, then that's only helpful to have more people who can help you. Maybe they can go out and do some things wrong, and then you can come in and build off of it. Maybe you guys can collaborate.
No, 100%.
Maybe you guys
100%.
can be enemies and feel each other to go. Like I don't know. It doesn't
mortal
matter
enemies.
to me. Like
At one point, I drew that up with Martin, where I was like, "All right, Martin, what if we do the Paul system, where we're brothers but we hate each other, and that just makes us make better content to try and outdo each other?" And I was like, "This is a horrible system. It's only going to lead to one of us getting canceled because we're just trying to outdo each other." But like, there's many aspects about it, and it intrigues me as well because like, there's portions that I was envious of other people that I knew I could do it similar or better, and like had to. As much as I want to offer my ideas and I offer them to everybody, everybody's eat. It's time for everybody to eat.
Important.
But it's also a spot for me to bring my own plate and bring my own flavor. And so like, it intrigues me where I wouldn't say I was envious of others, but that envy and that want to get in there and start mixing it up myself is what drove me. And I'm curious, what got you? I mean, obviously you said you did media. What got you back into the re-up? Because the re-up is killing it and it is an excellent idea and working so well. A great melting pot as DC has always been of just creatives. But what was the, if any, catalyst, if you can think of anything that not kickstarted, but reignited that part in you? What made you charged up?
I think it's really just like looking at the people who mentored me, like you know, a lot of people who managed and discovered like Gold Link and Cal Lucius and you know all those crazy people, Masego, and just like knowing that when I was under 21, they were like in their 27s, doing that shit, and they were smart enough to be like, we need these young people, and we need to be tapped in to, like, you know, see what's good, this, that, and the fourth, whatever. Like, or really, you could take it from, like, just empowering the youth, right? And that's not what I'm specifically trying to do, but I want to leave my mark on, like, the DMV. Like I said earlier, I want to have things that are tangible that people can always look at and listen to. And yeah, that's really just it. It doesn't really go farther than that. I just, you know, want to make my mark on my own city, because, like, when I was growing up there, it was difficult. There wasn't the cool shit that we have now. So to be on that timeline in a way and, like, actually help and, you know, expand it out, because it's like, it's a free form idea. I didn't know that I was going to be throwing any shows when I first started. I hate throwing shows. I like helping with the show, but I absolutely hate throwing shows. Yet I still do, because it's part of the process.
Yeah.
You know, we do, like, live podcast shows. We have, you know, Aslan sponsored free beer everywhere and all that shit. And it's like, bringing people together is awesome, but also, like, kind of force feeding people some sort of things that it does worse on my, like, on a content level, but it's like the Black culture part, the deep music dives, you know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
you guys rabbit hole in some beautiful ways that are niches that need to be talked about, which is the beauty of it in the essence. And then it's the problem of this modern sense where you get into these realms where, as in sponsoring, and it's like, hey, Alex, you know, what if you threw events here? And it's, you know, one or two is dope, but then at times you are forcing, I wouldn't say forcing, but you're having to come up with something and make something happen rather than letting it happen.
You know, that's actually a funny point, because, like, I had this show that we were going to do a little earlier. It's going to be, like, you know, November 2nd. And, you know, time came around and, you know, things weren't really together on, like, a few of the shareholders or whatever you want to call them's parts. And I was like, hey, you know, we're going to push this. And then I was, like, in my car, and I was, like, driving, because I had, like, kind of gotten, like, starry-eyed about it because I had a budget. And I was like, oh, I want to do this, and this is going to hit. Like, you know, it got really expensive, and I was like, there's not enough time to promote this. But it's funny when you say, you know, things that kind of just, like, actually come together and you feel comfortable with. Not to paraphrase what you just said.
Yeah,
but,
trust.
I was like, I was driving. I was like, damn, the answer to what I wanted to do for the show was, like, so simple and right in front of me the whole time. It was just the people who I had already interviewed playing a show within the budget. And it's funny how sometimes those ideas can be, like, so simple and right there, but it's art in itself to, like, promote and curate stuff. It's like you could sit and, you know, create all of these ideas and what you want to do and who you want to book, but at the end of the day, if it's not flowing and it doesn't feel right, you have a pit feeling in your stomach, or something's not, you know, working out and going, you know, as you want it to. If you don't shift and pivot and really take that deep time to, you know, think and settle down for a second, and the idea doesn't come to you, then maybe you shouldn't do it.
No, and it intrigues me when you say that pit, because the pit, like, there's a good pit and a good anxiety that, like,
yeah,
when you're doing shit. And today, Luke and I went and toured this venue, and, like, the guy was playing Jungle as we walked in, and then I had a second where I was like, all right, this is dope, but, like, I don't know if he's ready for what I'm trying to bring to this venue. And so I started playing some of it, and then I was getting hype about it, but there was that pit of, like, is this actually something that he's going to be comfortable with? And as well, like, is my vision going to come to light? And then it intrigued me, because halfway through, like, we started smoking a joint and talking it out and working out some of the ideas, and, like, it is not even the flavor of stuff that I necessarily like, but I think is going to be an excellent event for the proper curation and the way that it should be done. That, like, leaving the venue earlier, I was like, damn, it feels a lot more right. That, like, even Luke didn't even mean to pull up with me, and then he showed up, and I was like, yo, let's do this as a team. And it's coming together in the right fashion, that when you let it happen and trust, it's a beautiful thing. Not to change topics, but I'm curious here, and one of the community sponsors I'd love to shout out is Charged Up. But what is something that truly makes Alex Dixon charged up? And it could be anything in the world.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the reason why I fucking get up every day and why I stay up late would be just seeing people happy and just unbridledly happy and not worrying about anything, and music being the influence, whether it's like mostly the live shows.
For sure.
But even having conversations with people and like their music listening habits and things, and knowing that I'm like a small part of it. But yeah, I mean, that's what's been fueling me for a while, is those live events. Like when I'm there and I look over and somebody's like getting at it, and like, bro, they don't care about anything in front of them, behind them, on top of them, or below them. Mm-hmm. It's just
them and the artist and the venue. Like,
it's just,
and it happens. It happens. That should happen.
Yeah, that is something that, you know, money can buy, but it doesn't need to. Something that the corporations can't make in a cookie cutter fashion. It's just one of those things. And, you know, music and entertainment, or I would say entertainment in general, has been around as long as we can or can't remember, right? Like, it's whether it was a fire with a caveman.
Oh, Shakespeare.
Or, you know, a
Poetry.
drawing on a wall, or, you know,
the Fool's Jester.
And in like past podcasts, we've talked about how it doesn't matter how much technology advances, entertainment will always be there in some fashion or form. It doesn't matter what crazy shit you can do. There's still gonna be some guy with a fucking guitar that might rip.
A guitar, a microphone.
Yeah, like it does
something.
Yeah, like
there will always be a person up there.
It doesn't matter how much money you have in your pocket or don't. It'll still hit.
It really intrigues me to see this growth of AI hitting, but I don't think AI will ever replace the man-made art. And I've seen some loose stuff about how, like, in certain senses AI greatly reduces product cost, but the human cost of like replacing jobs and shit, some people would rather pay for human-made goods knowing that it's benefiting someone keeping their job. And so,
no, 100%. My stance on AI is that it is a tool. You can use it for the monotonous tasks, but I think that the more that people get into AI as a collective and a whole, it can actually be good, because it will make the human-made goods more valuable. And whatever that, it can be whatever that means to you, whether they're supported more, or it's like, you know, it's like going to the farmer's market versus going to a grocery store type shit, right?
Yeah.
Or it's, you know, that's
for
not
sure.
the best example.
No, for sure. But it's that idea that, like, there are chances for people to make stuff better using AI. But I think once you truly replace the human, it's like that idea of you going to like a McDonald's rather than going to like a food truck or something, where it's
the
like
Ferrari and the AMG engines are handmade.
Yeah,
the machines don't make them. It costs a lot of
in
fucking
Italy.
money.
In Italy,
you know?
piece by piece.
It's
Exactly. And so this is not even to shift it again. This random thought here that is a major question in my mind, and being in this city and watching Richmond have this kind of culture. It's not even a culture boom. The culture has always been there. The art has always been here. But the way it is getting somewhat observed in natures is fascinating, because the art is transcending Richmond. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on what is going to be the tipping point for Richmond to truly become a Nashville or a New York or something like that, because we're right there for sure.
New York. Well, you know, Nashville, I don't think Nashville has a football team or a baseball team or anything, right?
Tennessee Titans is not, I don't know, they're based in Nashville.
It's Nashville. Maybe.
But Nashville is a country town, and then if you want to be a country artist, you go down there.
No,
and like,
definitely. Usually it comes with bigger things like that, and I think that's a big problem in Richmond. Is like, it's the epitome of looking at all these big spaces that they have that are like unused, defunct. They just keep building more when it comes to the stadiums, and there's so much unused, untapped into space. which is really, really weird to me. I mean, I live in Churchill, and if you go down the road, there's that whole stadium that's just like in there. You know what I'm saying? Like if I went from my house towards your house on the left.
Oh, the VCUs?
Yeah, I'm just like,
VCU's turf field in the
bro,
middle.
why is that there? Like,
but with metal bleachers,
that's crazy. It's all there and all hidden. You know what I mean? Like, there's some serious. I think it's gonna take a good mayor. To be honest, it's gonna somebody needs to take hold of vote. Richmond. Go vote. There's a website. Hopefully you can put it in the link on this.
Bro.
But it basically tells you can put your zip code in. And I saw my roommate about this earlier. And it'll give you all of the candidates and explanation and bullet points of what they do. Because when you go to vote, you're going to go and you'll be like, Kamala Harris or Trump, huh? And then you're going to look and it's going to be like a packet of people who you need to decide on. You're going to end up filling in random shit. And for me, I feel bad. Because I'm like, did I just fuck shit up? I don't know who the fuck I just voted for.
Yeah.
I looked for the best names and the party.
Yeah, no.
That's not good. So
I want to double check it right now. Because I think the ad is We Vote VA, but these people put all of that information into
important. It's
into
so
a legible, social media friendly. We underscore vote underscore VA is a way for you to get some basic knowledge. And you know what you pulled up? Oh, is that a breakdown of all the candidates there?
No, that's what you need.
Telling you the basic information that equips you so much more.
I mean, take a screenshot of that shit, or if you want to even go as deep as looking at it and taking some notes before you go to the poll, I highly recommend it, because it's great to vote for your president, but, I mean, like I said, it's
the trickle down.
We need a mayor, we need a leader, we need something like that, I think, to take Richmond to the next level. The people are doing, I think, enough.
Oh, yeah.
They're doing what they can, and it's more than a lot of other places in Virginia right now. But, for example, Virginia Beach, right? So they had Pharrell, which worked with the mayor and these government people to get cool shit going. So let's say D'Angelo comes out of the woodworks and starts punching the new mayor in the fucking gut sometimes. That could be a people's solution to it.
Or even someone as Mad Skills. Who retired from the system.
The mayor just a little bit.
Bro, played at Dory Park.
Or they or them. Do some cool shit.
Sold out Dory Park.
Would be a great... That's the kind of influence that you... Because at the end of the day, as the people, you can only do so much. We can burn things down if things get crazy.
Well, you have to be careful saying that in Richmond. And doing the history of it, totally. You can say that. I can't say that.
The things that you can do as the people, you can revolt, or you can keep doing your free thinking things.
No,
and it's only going to go so far. You actually need somebody who can make the hard hitting decisions and actually shift things,
guide the public who are enraged in a certain sense.
Yeah,
it's if you have a mob of people ready to go throw things, you have to direct them in constructive ways to make it productive, rather than ramping them up, and then in turn they start throwing bottles through windows, and it's watching that stuff happen on Broad Street during the George Floyd shit, made no sense to me. But the way they directed it toward Broad Street, so it affected the small businesses, really pains me to see. Because I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but the idea that all these small businesses were greatly affected by it greatly diminishes the value of the area, where you already have all these homeless people and all these things. The only homeless shelter in the city of Richmond is there. It is greatly changed since George Floyd, and it hasn't come back. And seeing some of these First Fridays recently has been great to see the community come back out, but it is not where it once was, and is now a cheaper section because it's unfavorable by some mentions, but it is able to be bought up by these people, and I hate to say it was strategic by the mayor, but in certain senses you have to guide the crazy mobs, and I'm intrigued. And you mentioned sports teams. Shout out Richmond. They just signed the Carmack Stadium, just broke ground on it, and they've also signed the Live Nation. Don't quote me on this, but I heard that Live Nation Stadium is going to try and throw a lot more free shows, because they realize it's going to be hard to keep people from observing.
We were talking about that at Folk Fest.
Bro, I
was like, bro, wait. So there's this whole other field that's right here that doesn't make any sense. There's no way.
No, you know it's crazy?
That's cool, though.
You know it's crazy? As I was driving by, I drove past it today. The Civil War Museum is going to be like a VIP press box almost. That like
What?
as you're driving through.
No way.
So first things first, I don't want to
crazy.
call out fucking whoever's designing this shit, but they took the road out of the designs, and I don't want to say anything about it, but like the walls back up, and then there's a road, and then there's the American Civil War Museum, which is raised up on the hill, so you're definitely gonna be able to
it's
see
like the
there.
best spot.
I've seen a couple low-key spots that I think might even be better, but like.
Yeah.
There's through experience. I can't wait until it happens. Fuck Live Nation, but shout out them for sponsoring and helping build the stadium. I'm curious. So you add a mid-major stadium for the baseball stadium. You had a mid-major 7,000 capacity stadium for Live Nation on Browns Island, which then, I hate to say, collectively makes Browns Island a 17,000 capacity two-venue place. But like, do you think something in the water could ever come to a Richmond on a Browns
There's no
Island?
point.
It's literally
For
on the water.
Something in the water to specifically. Have you been to something in the water?
Yeah, multiple times. I volunteered at it 2 years ago.
Why would they do it? It's a Virginia Beach thing. Richmond needs to make their
Virginia
own
Beach. They
thing.
threw it in D.C. They threw it in D.C.
Yeah, but that's because DC made sense.
Whoa! Why would it not make sense when you have a 7,000 person venue and you have
gotta
a
do
13?
their own shit. They
For
gotta do their
sure.
own
Oh,
shit.
for sure. And that's where.
They
But
gotta
I
do their own
think.
shit. I think they could do it there. It would be it. I think it'd work. If you had all it's set up, you could do a that. That's another thing.
If Chris
yeah.
Brown, Chris Brown's a horrible guy.
If Chris Brown, that would
If
be-
Russell Wilson came
if
back.
Russell Wilson came, yes, there were, yeah.
Honestly, and
yeah.
he's the right. Honestly, I hate to
Russell
say he should
Wilson.
retire, but he should come back to Richmond. He would fit in very well.
Russell Wilson. I mean,
Shut up.
yeah, I mean, Virginia Beach is the 30th largest metropolitan area in the country, so technically they could have a football team or a baseball team or a basketball team, and it would make sense. They have enough
They have the
people-
Tides, and the Tides is almost a mirror image of the.
It would make sense if they got a professional team. They
Well,
have enough
and
people
but the
there.
Tides they have the Norfolk Tides. Shout out the MLB farm team is the same thing as the Squirrels, and it's a farm level and makes a more communal experience because it's not
No, it's true, but like that's not gonna get the attention. We need.
Yes.
I mean, to be honest,
so this brings me to
I'm
a
not
point.
for it, but like, no, I wouldn't even say the casino would do it.
I don't think the
The
casino is the
casino wouldn't do
answer.
it either.
I think the sports idea is better,
sports
but
idea is better.
it brings
yeah.
me to this
I'm
problem.
not for the casino, just for like the.
Well, the problem and the beauty of Richmond is that you need something to do with your hands, and I think that makes people make art for art purposes rather than it being this like, oh, I'm gonna get seen or something. It's like I can go to Richmond and fuck off and make a such and such album, and there's so many ideas that cross my mind. The accessibility
Yeah.
of it, that like 1 week, if I want to, I can go to Ember and sign up for an RVA Rap Elite and try and compete against 100 of the best rappers in Richmond, and then the next week I can go to the RVA Hard Ravers Dance Collective and learn how to shuffle, and then go to Kava the next week, and it's all within a 3-mile, 5-mile radius. That like, it's mind blowing to me. But then it also creates this problem of like, there's nothing major happening. You have the National, you have Browns Island, but there's no major thing for people to do with their hands where it makes them, I think, make art. And it's meant for people to make art, but it also is and this is a conversation I was having with Mike Millions and Troy at the warehouse before the warehouse we went to, was that like it's this beauty, and it's a hidden gem and beautiful because it's a hidden gem. And I'm curious when money comes, not if money comes, when money comes, if it changes. But I think it's almost that rejection of money where like Richmond honestly doesn't want any of that big money. They there's portions
Yeah.
of it, it will help the city, but as we're seeing first and foremost right now, it is negatively impacting where shit's increasing in price and shit's getting more inaccessible as a human to live and do the shit you want to do. And it's like it's pushing out some of those creatives or making them butt heads and create some dope art, but it's also like really kind of gentrifying, pushing out, doing all of the negative things you see with that growth. Not even say more so. There's beauty happening in Richmond, and I'm not gonna talk it down. If you don't fucking move to Richmond, I'll beat your ass. But it intrigues me because it's
No, what do you mean don't move to Richmond?
well, because Richmond's popping right now. It's people coming here from all over.
mean, Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but the last places I've seen saying don't move somewhere just get fucked.
We're getting fucked right now.
We are getting fucked, but right now it's a great time to be in Richmond, I would say. I mean, it's like, what are you gonna do about it? You know, it's like at the end of the day.
There's a raw dogging aspect that as you're seeing here, I'm raw dogging it. I'm running 3 cameras. My producer Luke has gone to sleep. We outsourced the editing last time, and then as I look at it, I'm like, all right, I trust this guy that he edited the angles the way I wanted it to be, but there's another layer of editing that I'm gonna do before I put it out that's still gonna take me 3 to 5 hours reasonably. That like
Yeah, that's retarded.
bro, I put in I was doing, and shout out Autumn Revival, an event that we just went to. I was just editing the Dice Man set, and I threw in another hour of camera footage that took me about 5 hours to get to a portion where I felt comfortable exporting and sending out to people. But it amazed me to see how much this is a labor of love.
Oh,
but
yeah. Definitely.
it intrigues me, and you're building a Goliath in DC, and then you live in Richmond, but are a traveled man, a man of many cities. What brought you to Richmond? How did you find yourself here?
Oh man, that's a crazy story. I mean, I moved back to Nova after the George Floyd protests because I was in Portland, Oregon, and that shit got crazy because I was like
Y'all
shooting
did it
this
different there.
documentary that we dropped called Unrest, the civil rights documentary or civil rights story, and yeah. After that, after like me and my friends at the time, I was doing a lot of sound and lighting setup in Portland, Oregon, which is like pretty decent money, union work, any smaller shows, electronic shows, and then like also the more corporate gigs. So between that, like me and my friend group were like making good money in Portland, and like we were getting pretty good notoriety between like the promoters and stuff. And then the protests happened, COVID happened, and we were like, okay, we're gonna set up sound for the protests because we have access to all these speakers. We're just convinced these people are doing nothing with them, and we just ran sound for 100 days straight. Illegally.
What do you mean ran sound?
So we
speakers, audio,
speakers, and the microphones at all of the protests that the people who are doing the speeches.
Fuck yeah!
What happens is there's a space where it starts, which is we had this autonomous zone, which was essentially a really big park that used to be a school, but the school was defunct and bought. Turned into a venue, but every school, this is like an elementary school, has a big field.
Yeah.
So the field was always there, and they would throw they had multi-level shows that would happen in this venue. It was legit, super legit. Like they're selling alcohol. They have restaurants in there. It was repurposed.
Fuck yeah.
In Portland, and yeah, basically we would have the protests start off there. Because we could do whatever we want. We could store our equipment there. They let us have a pod there. Like, they're about it. It's called Revolution, was the spot.
No, and it
Revolution
would
Hall.
intrigue me because
Yeah.
Portland had the longest standing, but Richmond followed that being the second longest standing militarized. And
The thing about Richmond is the cops here are very black, so there's black people fucking up black people, which is crazy.
there's a lot
Yeah.
more awkwardness of that
yeah,
scene.
that's like crazy, bro. Like a whole other conversation.
Oh,
but-
and it was a wild.
Yeah,
I mean,
wild to see. It'll really mind fuck you, right? Like,
bro, I was being a white person, and I was purely an observer. There's a part of me that didn't want to leave the house. At that time, I was living on Main Street, and like seeing the droves of cops, where it'd be like 10 cops riding down the street, all at once, ripping, and it's like, all right, I don't want to go towards that, but then there's that itch that you get of the human nature where you're like, all right,
100%.
I mean, within the nature of like, not only do I want to voice my opinions about this, but also I want to see what's happening to why there's 10 cops are running to this area, and then 5 minutes later, 10 more, and then like, just driving down the streets, it was not even insanity, but it was another level of revolution, community experience where the people of Richmond had an opinion, and then the government and governing bodies had a different opinion.
Yeah.
And we're trying to calm the herd or whatever you want to call it. But it was very interesting to see, and then also to hear and watch your documentation of it was excellent to have perspective from a Richmond where, as you mentioned, it was a school. I don't know if you've seen the space it happened here, but was a roundabout within the city that ended up having so much more
I know
importance
about
than being
the statue.
Yeah.
My opinion on the statue is I don't think they should have taken it down, to be honest. I think it's better. Very unpopular opinion. But I think that it is better to keep the bad things there so you never do them again. It's just important. Like, why... okay, so Bemo made a good example on our last episode 15 of the Re-Up podcast. He's like, why do we... So, like, you're saying that the word... We had our first femme guest. And we're like, why are we saying femme? Because woman isn't the best word because it includes man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, from a sense of, like, okay, we're trying to be respectful.
Yeah.
And there's all these iterations, female, all these things.
Levels.
But then the other side of it is, why would we give somebody this handicap if we're trying to be fair, right? So why are you going to just take down the statue when we could all just be like, this was wrong, this happened, now we have to look at it all the time, hopefully we don't do it again, and just leave it there. Like, that's my opinion.
No, an intriguing perspective.
Where is it now?
Do you know where it is now?
In a museum somewhere that nobody's going to look at?
Not yet. And it hasn't even made it there. It's sitting in a closed down. What are the highway things called? The rest area. It's in a closed down rest area off 64, where I believe it's waiting to make its way to a proper museum or something to document the American history, and probably be auctioned off to the highest bidder. But very much, I like that perspective
I would buy
upon
the
it.
shit out of that. I'd put that in my fucking mansion one day. That would be sick as fuck. And just imagine. It's graffitied. I hope they bust the graffiti off of the whole thing. Or
I think
if it had all the graffiti on it, I would totally want that.
Well, so I'll say
You know
this.
what I mean? Like, that would be wild.
Had they
Like,
left the graffiti on it,
Yes.
that would be the only way that I think it would be
100%.
justified to
That would
believe
be
it.
sick. If they left the graffiti on it and then put it in a museum, that would be
Well,
badass.
if they left the graffiti
be
up,
sick
if
as
they
fuck.
left the graffiti up and left it in the circle, I would have appreciated that.
That too.
I-
That's obviously what I would want.
I don't
'Cause
think
that's
there's
part of
any
it,
way
yeah.
that they would have been able to leave it up and have
And
people
have
have
nobody-
the older folk. I don't want to say of what culture be uneasy about there being a statue
No,
that's
100%.
painted.
I'm more talking about the graffitied aspect of it.
And it was beautiful.
And you know,
Absolute
the deeper meaning is still, yes, that was bad. Let's keep it there so we know that we did this, because why erase history? Like, the people who did decide to move that, it's like, yeah, like, I understand what you're saying, but also you did get to erase your bad history, which nobody gets to do, right?
It intrigued me as well.
It's like, what chance do you get to do that?
They left a time capsule under it, which I'm not sure what the contents of that time capsule had in it, but it very much. I wouldn't say they knew that it was going to get unearthed at some point, but it was something that was built so long ago that they,
That's really good.
It intrigues me. It intrigues me because there's so many levels to it, and
things can get lost, man. Like, you need to make sure, like we were talking about earlier with technology and all that, we just get lost.
No, for sure. Well, and you brought up as an individual that honestly I think needs to be talked about more. But if anything, your co-host Bemo seems like a person that is vivacious, culturally knowledgeable. All this. Well, you guys posted a snippet about Kwanzaa, I believe it was.
Oh, yeah, we did. I didn't know shit about Kwanzaa. I was, like, genuinely, like, people might have thought that I was, like, going along with the joke. I'm like, I literally...
Bro, I full on shout out Bemo. I want to go to a Kwanzaa celebration. It is
it sounds cool. I didn't know it was like
it's community for 7 days, and I'm like, bro, that's why not? Like, yes, that's.
I always thought it was just like what Christmas is in Africa or something like that, but that's not it at all. It's a African American holiday, which is completely different than anything that would happen in Africa. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's influence, but like African American is way different than like African.
Yeah.
Because African American, like it's like we have like all this fucking crazy shit happening over here. Not that they don't have it in Africa, but like it's a melting pot over here. So it's
many years have happened.
It's a Pan-African holiday.
Okay,
that's even different. That would be the more explicable meaning.
I hate to say this over my head, but there's levels, and it gets deep into that.
It's not an African American holiday. I completely take that back. It's Pan-African. So,
well, that being said, and to save us from that, tell me more about Bemo, because he seems like someone that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah, I love Bemo. I met Bemo at a house show in DC at an Airbnb that could be rented out as a venue, and it had a stage in it. He was running sound, which he doesn't even do. It was a very random night. I don't know why he was there. I don't know why I was there, but I was running lights. I was just trying to meet a community in general in DC. This guy 301 Icon was playing. He fucking killed it. Met so many people there, and I got his Instagram, and later I ended up getting I was still working in music licensing. He ended up getting a job at an advertising agency as a cultural analyst, and then my job started getting everyone to do a bunch of sales stuff. So I ended up hitting him up and doing like a business meeting, and we went to go get brunch, and I had like the company card, and like we got so many free fucking mimosas. For some reason, like, I don't know, we got a reservation, and it was just so chock.
I'm stuck on the idea of being a cultural analyst.
I know.
That's what I want to fucking... I want to be that. I mean, I call myself an observer.
I don't even know what...
A cultural analyst. Sign me the fuck up.
You would have to ask him really what that means, but...
no, and...
That was his position, and I met with him.
Well, that was Bemo, or that was...
That was Bemo. Yeah, that's like... We basically, he was working for an ad agency. I was doing music licensing.
I want to shake his hand right now. Bemo.
Yeah, I was doing music licensing. Jesus. So it's like, oh wow, you work for a all-black ad agency in DC. I was living in Nova at the time, and I was still working for the same company that I was working for in Portland, but remote, because it all became remote after COVID. So I was like, yeah, let's do a meeting. Like, I have this company card. Let's fucking go run up some brunch. We ended up getting like fucking 5 free mimosas because they couldn't seat us for so long because brunch is a big deal in DC. I got a reservation and everything, but and we were just chilling in this nice ass lobby, just drinking mimosas. Became like essentially the best of friends, and then he already had the Wake and Bake with Bemo podcast, which he's bringing back right now. Which he basically just smokes weed super fucking early and like goes live. Everything.
I like it. I liked it, and that's where I got to see more of him and see the flavor that it is.
No, Bemo is about it.
And about it, and very philosophical to a certain extent, conceptual, and like just seeing the way his mind works. I run a mile a minute, and I haven't learned how to filter myself to a place of doing that, but to be as vulnerable as he is, and then to see where it's put him in his life, it's Tell me more. Tell me more.
Yeah, he's a real journalist. He's a 3-time Emmy-nominated journalist, more so in the HBCU.
About what? Now, what are the?
So HBCU is historically black. Colleges
yeah,
and
but what are his
universities,
nominations in?
All like more like almost newscasting style, like doing for these huge events for these HBCUs and informational stuff. He really did this like cool piece recently where it's almost like hype video, and like to backtrack, he was the voice of Howard University when it came to the marching bands. So more of like announcer. He's a big host. And yeah, he's just very integrated in the DC area. And fun fact is he was born in Alexandria. Randomly. He tries to say that he's not a DMV head. Secretly, he was born in Alexandria.
What does he claim? Where, Virginia?
The Carolinas. He's traveled around a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I guess has he ever mentioned what high school he would have been? Actually,
no. But he was born like very he was born in Alexandria.
At
like,
some point, I'll meet
born,
you, Bemo.
You know what I mean? But yeah, Bemo's the man. He is the real podcaster on my podcast. I'm a guy who knows people, and like I've done a lot of interviews in my past, but I wouldn't call myself.
Shout out the glue guy.
No, it's just like
you help put things together.
Yeah,
it's a great
I'm
partnership.
A connector. That's what I usually tell people. Is like the only thing that I have to offer is like connecting people. Like the end of the fucking day. That's what I'm best at.
When it's an interesting one because I'd say like leveled up. You don't use it against anyone, nor do you ever tax on anyone. It's connection for what connection should be used for, of you putting people where they should be placed. In a meeting we had today, I was like literally telling the guys, like, look, you have a beautiful venue. As you keep making your venue better, it needs to be seen by these different scenes. And I love being not the DJ or not the promoter, not some of this where I see how I can help people meet each other. And to be honest, I don't know how to make money on this, but like helping these people meet each other and get the scene and the way they should be seen is what makes me like happy. Same way you're saying you get charged up on that shit, that like it's
no, definitely
shout out charged up, but it's
thinking about how you're gonna make money off of it kind of makes things I think
more than it's
more difficult.
Fuck no, it's and I'm sitting here doing the math of like how do I break even on this to make it at least make sense, and then maybe round 2. We had a COVID bar that like we bought a bunch of bottles, but then the second time we had the bar, we didn't have to buy a bunch of bottles, so we started making more money. And it's like there's ways to incrementally do it, but if you do it right for the love of the game, it's bro, I love it. Fucking cheers, man. Thank you for coming.
Falcon smash.
Now, Falcon punch. Bemo, the re-up, all the things. Shit, man. It's
Yeah, I'm gonna need to get home and get some food here.
What type of food you got on your mind?
Tacos, bro. Always on the fucking Mexican kick.
No, and this is I've been so Alex, what is your I'm gonna rifle off some questions for you because this is one that I wanted to get into in the beginning. We've lost our cause, but that being said, if you had $20 right now and we were kind of drunk and went to 7-Eleven, what are you walking out with?
7-Eleven specifically?
Corner store.
Okay, I'll go 7-Eleven because I know the product.
Let me say, Reams Market's down the street, but then Idlewood.
Let's just go 7-Eleven because, like,
14th Street? 14th Street Market?
Well, no, I mean,
Mosby?
Nova, like, I'm from
Shout out Mosby.
more so, like, Fort Hunt Hall area, so I know everything that is in all of those fucking 7-Elevens. So, you're going to get, some fucking...
What are you getting?
I'm gonna get a meat stick, you know what I'm saying, but I'm not talking no Slim Jim or nothing like that. There's some
no Diddy
ones there.
No meat stick. What, baby oil? What's going on? What type of meat stick you do? What's
No, you gotta get fucking like the Louisiana John is good.
Okay.
There's other like smoked like more ones.
Smoked meats.
Really like some smoked
Big
meats.
Zuckerberg guy. Okay.
I really like a good cheese curl. if I'm high. Like,
Okay.
A good cheese
puff?
curl, they fuck your hands up.
Oh,
your fingers
everywhere.
up.
The dust, the
But
clothes.
it's so good.
You know, white people, we wipe on our pants.
Yeah, unpopular opinion, I do like a good, like, just plain potato chip, too. I don't know why, if I'm baked. It's just like...
Salty.
Yeah,
Salty,
like,
it's
I
simple.
don't know. Like, there's so many flavors, but, like, for some reason, I like to get that. The cookies and cream chocolate bar is good. That's, like, some... If I'm high, yo...
You're hitting all the right spots
Yeah,
right now.
like
Yes.
that hits.
You're about like 12.50. You got maybe 2 more items on there.
Yeah.
You're making use of this $20.
I think I would probably cap it off if I'm trying to drink something with a Coca-Cola if I'm really high.
Yeah.
If I'm really high, like, I'm not really a soda drinker guy, but, like, I'm baked.
No,
you know?
refreshing. You have to
It's-
find your way.
It's,
I have
you
to
know,
respect.
that would be really nice.
I like that. I like it.
And yeah, I think that might hit the 20, but if I did have any extra money,
Sprinkle on top.
I'd probably go for
All right.
more candy if I could.
Oh, question.
The peach rings or the watermelon rings. That's
Wow, and that was not on my list. I was gonna say, are you like a chocolates, Reese's, Kit Kats? Or are you a
I'm
Skittles?
allergic to peanut butter. Skittles are good.
Whoa, Skittles is a favorite. I copped
I
a
like
bag this
to
week.
eat a big handful of different flavors. You know, I'm not sure.
Respect. All right,
Yeah.
that was question 1. So step 1 of the gauntlet. So step 2 of the gauntlet is like, all right, we just went to the warehouse. We haven't eaten. We forgot to eat dinner. Where are you thinking about eating? You said tacos earlier, but like right now, for those
time is it?
observing, it's 12:22.
Oh, 12:22.
Where are you going to get tacos right now?
Oh, I mean, at 12:22, you're probably going to fucking Taco Bell, to be honest. But
Respect,
also
yes.
at 12:22, I'm probably, if I wanted to get food at 12:22, I would just go to Cobra. I just go to Cobra Command because they, like, you know, I
Respect.
love Cobra.
Respect.
But
I
I've been
need
to
to
a
go
lot of
more.
places and got a lot of late night food, and they still hook it up with, like, good late night food.
Portions
Every
healthy.
fucking time. Portions are healthy. I like the body bag. I'm a body bag fan. A
Put 'em
burger.
in the fucking.
It's got
All
blue
right.
cheese, bacon, a pound of fries,
I might join
couple
you. I
penny
might join you on
pinchers.
this ride to Cobra. Honestly,
a couple penny pinchers, and hey,
I hate to say I've
it's
been reluctant to go to Cobra, but it's the Richmond intimidating factor that
really.
like,
Have you never been to Cobra? with me?
never.
That's crazy. That's my spot. I'm always at Cobra.
I have looked at it. I get anxiety. I get anxiety. I'm looking in the eyes. I've walked around that spot so many times thinking about
Are you
going
scared
in.
of the hardcore kids, or like?
No, I just am scared about looking like a fucking idiot going in there and
You
just
gotta wear
being.
all black if you're gonna.
No, and I never look. I mean,
I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to not feel uncomfortable, then
yeah,
you should.
and I've been finding my way, but like as I dive more into Everybody Eats, it's like there's days that I am fully into it and ready to run through a wall, and then there's days where like I get off a long ass day at fucking work, go pick up Bodillas, and as I'm going to pick up Bodillas, I hear the hardcore kids going in on Tuesday night, just ripping, and I'm like, fuck. And then as I'm driving through Goshen's Avenue, I see fucking Hip Hop Henry and four more and all these kids, and I'm like, bro, this is. Oh, I mean that's a VCU.
staple, yeah.
It's a greasy spot, but it's a guilty pleasure. But it intrigues me because like I've thought about Cobra so much, but I've never been.
Cobra's got really good food. Cheap drinks, penny pincher, $5 shot of rail, and a domestic beer. All day.
Deals.
All the
Cobra, not saying you should sponsor, but we'll go talk to you tonight. I'm going to calm down because I haven't even been yet, but I'd love to talk to you guys more. Fun fact about Cobra, after King Gizzard's show, the band went to Cobra and they not even shut it down. I think it was closed, and it was a Wednesday night. Stopped at like midnight. Actually, they might have closed it down for him, now that I think about it, because Cobra sounds like they stay open.
That's ridiculous. They closed that shit down for him.
Gizzard? For Gizzard?
Yeah, but like, why does Gizzard want to be in there with no fucking people?
Because they're fucking hot turkeys, mate. Did you not see the videos?
But you know
They
what
were
I mean?
throwing. He said, I feel like a rotisserie chicken. And then they literally had like 8 rotisserie chickens where they went to Kroger, bought out all of the rotisseries on stage or eating them, and then just started throwing them out in the crowd because it was like 90 degrees out, super humid, right after a hurricane. I mean, epic show on my birthday. But that being said, after the show, they were like, fuck it, we're going to Cobra. And then, I mean, it's a legendary spot in Richmond.
Who's the fucking tour manager who's like, okay, like I was on Google Maps.
Bro, not even, I mean.
I know where we need to go right now.
Cobra Cabana.
Cobra
Cobra
Cabana.
Cabana, mate.
No.
It's crazy.
Yo,
it's a
good
Richmond
shit.
sport. We gotta go there.
Yeah, no.
Get in there. Get in.
One of my best friends is a photographer and videographer for MGK. And I had his crew go to Guar Bar. Because they were just like,
it's
we need
same
to fucking
idea.
go. I was like, okay, look.
No, same
You
idea.
should go to Guar Bar. Cobra, you're gonna get hassled. Guar Bar, there's probably gonna be no people there, and they're gonna like what you're wearing. And
Enough.
They won't even know you're MGK.
Enough.
Probably won't.
You could fit
Like,
in with a hoodie.
yeah.
You could be another kid from Richmond that has emotional problems,
exactly.
whatever it is. All right, beautiful. I'm loving the quick fire. All right, so to quick fire it again. You've done a lot of traveling. You were born on the East Coast. You lived on the West Coast. Have you lived inland?
I've only lived on the East and West Coast.
Well, only coastal.
Yeah, this Midwest.
Do you find yourself to be more of a water beach oriented or more of a city oriented kid?
City.
Respect.
City. I like a medium-sized city. Richmond's a perfect size. Perfect size, bro. I could, if I want to see nobody, like, specific, I could do that if I really wanted to avoid people. Or I could just be out, see everyone I need to. Like, it's a perfect size city. It's
all right.
great.
And I think the culmination of it all is that, Alex, you are a beautiful individual, a creator.
I appreciate that.
If you had advice you could have given yourself 10 years ago, and at that point, I would have been 18, you'd have been 20 years old, what advice would you give yourself as a creative that is making waves now, and silently making waves, but properly making waves? What advice would you give yourself?
I would say to, like, unbridledly be yourself. You know, like, all this shit that you're, seeing other people do. And, like, I was talking to somebody on the phone. I don't remember who it was, but we were talking about
big trust.
Whether you do things that you want to do or if you're, like, copying something or, like, building off of something. And it was like, yo, like, if you just keep building off of, like, what you want to do, like, that's the move. But it's like other people are, like, doing their thing. I do remember who it was. It was someone in the group Van Buren Records, just kind of like Odd Future, but in Boston. They're like pretty popular. Felix, E.T., all them. We were talking about like how experimental rap and rapping over like Afrobeat and like crazy ass shit that you want to do is like that means more right now and is like way more experimental than doing experimental rap, which would be like Earl Sweatshirt, like, you know what I mean? Like, like that shit's like, okay, so you're gonna string out a sample and fucking, you're like rap real well over it. Like, good shit. Shout out Earl Sweatshirt, but you know what I'm saying? And that's a bad example to generalize somebody into, but the fact of doing something that you just wanted to do and it is different because it's just like something you felt like doing, key. So I wish I kept doing more like that. Like I got in a cyclical nature eventually of like, okay, this is making money. Let me just do this. Let me just fucking build these shows. Let me just fucking plug in these lights. Let me program these lights. Let me fucking, do music licensing. It's like, if I had just been like, fuck it, dude. I'm gonna keep throwing a festival for fucking 10 years. Or like, if that was what I was feeling, fucking yeah, dude. Like, I threw a festival for 3 years on the West Coast with my friends. Like, that was cool. We made money. We failed. We triumphed. Done. But just whatever. Just go with the flow. Because life's short. It's... At the end of the day, I think you're going to be more disappointed if you die and you didn't do the fucking shit that you're feeling in your heart than if you were just, like, held back and, like, pinned up in society. Like,
Fact.
it sucks. It can lead to one thing or other, but I say just go for it.
I mean, when I came into this, I had two mottos, and it was trust, and then what you cannot trust, you respect, but very much that idea of, like, trust yourself and let that shit happen. Mm-hmm. Let it happen. And the way, as you just elaborated, this experimental rap is blowing my mind, because you and I are connectors and glue guys, and Friday Beers had a bunch of, there's Bagman, there's Senor Sneef, but there's Glue Guy, and Glue Guy holds the team together, puts all this shit together. The beauty of what you and I are doing within these different scenes of helping people connect, and now you're like, yo, I gotta throw a show. Why not just have the people I already know do that shit? But it intrigues me, because, like, one of the things I want to go on record saying right now is that the way EDM, dance music, and BPMs, that party type music, as people psychoanalyze, EDM, what we would just experience at Autumn Revival, is going to have a resurgence where people are going to start doing way more sound design, all this shit. Is there anything you want to go on record as not even conspiratorially, but what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is the next big change to happen in the world? In the world, in artistry, in
music, or like what aspect of the world?
No, I mean, what's on your mind? What do you think? Is there anything
Dude,
that
I think the music industry is going under right now within live music for sure. There's less ticket sale. I was literally just talking on the phone to my coworker about this, ranting about this.
What?
So essentially, what's happening right now is people are overstimulated between technology, us being in the future, all this shit happening, festivals, all of that. So they've seen so much, whether it was visually on a video that they weren't even at the show, social media, physically at the show, big show, crazy EDC, European festival.
Oh, you can go small show. I did it twice this week.
Yeah, like all that shit, like crazy visuals, bro. Like crazy installments, all this shit. You know, you pump that shit too much. People are talking about it. People are looking at on these videos. When you end up going to the normal venue, there's actually less ticket sales now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who you are.
I didn't go this week. Did you go to Taboo or a Little Stranger?
Yeah, like, it is just not impressive to a lot of people. And I'm not an economist, but apparently people are not making as much as a very big gap right now within, you know, the rich and the poor, let's say. The middle class and the rich. And it's affecting shows a lot. So I think live events might dwindle for the next couple of years until venues can figure out a way to create a more cohesive environment. Like Meow Wolf is a good example. It's like you are competing with there's Meow Wolf, then there's Otherworld.
What is Meow Wolf?
What is Meow Wolf? Okay, Meow Wolf is an immersive space. You've never heard of Meow Wolf? That's the craziest shit I've heard all day, that you've never heard of Meow Wolf. Meow Wolf is an immersive space where you go to Vegas, to Area 15, you go to Denver's Convergence Station, or you go to the Santa Fe location, and it's a kind of like almost an art museum, immersive space, like trip room where like you'll go through like a laundry mat, like a washer machine. Mm-hmm. You'll go through, and then you're like in a slide, and then you're like in this, you know, it's just the ridiculous spaces. They were gonna make one in DC, but they like ran out of money or something. But they have multiple spaces, and they also throw shows there. They have a concert area, so that's like there are I wouldn't say knockoffs. There are similar spaces that are already doing that same thing in different cities, because you can't just patent like I'm gonna make a trippy ass space like
it's the uniqueness of the space, and that's where
if I were to make a venue and I really truly want to make a venue, I would do something like that, because that's like thinking ahead of like this is already done, like, you should be thinking even farther ahead of that. You don't want to stay relevant, but
Like,
that's what me and my coworker mentioned.
Scavenger hunt for a venue or something?
They already have, that's already part of Meow Wolf. There's a whole story that you can follow, and you can stand there for like 7 hours. Like, that's the whole thing.
I'm in.
It's crazy.
I'm sold.
The thing that we were talking about is these venues are suffering right now, in my opinion, because they have spent, let's say, 10, 20, 30 years saying, okay, so we're going to book the artists that are good this year, we're going to book the locals, we're going to do this, that, sell the drinks, and they've been doing that on and again and again and again. They haven't pivoted at all. The key is that you need to be either ready to pivot or pivoting or ahead of the pivot, because like things are moving. Technology is going to keep moving. If you are not ready to pivot and do something different, and you're wondering, oh, why is this not going right? Well, it's because you've been doing the same fucking thing for as long as short as you need to or don't need to, and you just need to keep pivoting. Not a full pivot, but like at least thinking about it, at least considering it, at least keeping an open mind, or you're gonna fuck up. That's just basic. That should be basic knowledge in a world of technology. Like, I mean, I don't.
I think in theory that's basic knowledge that you need to be pivotal in all these things, and I think in application it takes shape in different forms.
You need
extremely, and then in application of that idea, I see like our venture and Broadberry, and like our venture is grabbing random ass artists. There's some good ones, and like I've had people talk about Digital Planets, Daniel Donato.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you look at the Broadberry lineups, and the Broadberry sold out the last 6 shows, I want to say, this summer. Shout out Flip Turn happening, I think right now or possibly last night on the island, where like they literally sold out Chapel Roan, Faye Webster, all these ones.
Last night.
No, those were this summer where they booked it going into this year, and then you have Chapel Roan have the year that she just had, Faye Webster have the year like.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're
that's
on
inside. That's super inside. Like,
super
I didn't
inside.
know who Chapel Roan was until
hell
she
no
performed in Richmond.
No, and then she sold it out, and it was this aura within Richmond that we were all on the pink cowboy train or whatever they called it, but like there is an attunement that Richmond is different, having that want to do this shit for the love, and then you see the dichotomy of like our venture. Friday Cheers. You know that every Friday on the island, it's going to be some mid-major socializing event. And then on Tuesday, randomly, Gizzard is going to come through town. And you better be fucking ready, because when Broadberry does that stuff, it is a much more communal feel and for the right reasons. And so it not even intrigues me, it has fascinated me to see the way these things dive off, and that, like, as we say, music's dying. The problem within it is that these
music's not dead.
Live music, it's hard because to be a small business and make sense of it, you really have to be in tune. Mm-hmm. And places like Richmond have beauties where there's levels to the Broadberry. You have the Camel, the Broadberry, the National, Browns Island, that are steps to some crazy shit.
Cooked. I think it's just cooked. It's
getting harder. It's getting really hard.
People are not thinking of new things, and that is why they're suffering.
And I've been talking up the scene.
Like new.
They
things.
are
like
literally.
That's like base level compared to like what I'm thinking of. I'm talking like, how can we imitate the Sphere? Like, how can we like?
No, and you say
that's what I'm like.
You say
like
this, yes.
Even farther past that.
It's funny. It's funny
like,
you say
how
that
can
because
we get holograms in DIY culture? Like, I don't know, like past
different.
that.
You need different thinkers rather
I'm
than
talking like far ahead.
And as you say this, like I've been talking about the Richmond scene. Live Nation is building a 7,500 capacity venue, which happens to be almost a mirror image, except for the geography of the Wilmington venue that they just built. And it's like.
It's a Wilmington venue too.
Oh, it's dope as fuck.
That's crazy.
It's on the water, and it's literally flipped. Where like the water's to the left. They have a couple of sky boxes that are insane. That you literally like climb up a ladder, and then you're in this fucking paradome, like no bigger than this room. Probably a sound booth or something, but epic. But then they literally flipped it where the water is on the right, and then you have a giant amphitheater. And it's like, this is the same thing. It's a miniature scale of what they've done at Jiffy Lube and all these things, that it's not different, and it takes different thinkers. And it's people like Rhythm City and some of these Autumn Revival folk that like shout out the Baltimore Collective and the Pennsylvania Collective, I forget their names, but helping build some of those ideas as I see it. And we were talking about, like, I really hope that Autumn Revival shifts their main stage production to being on the hill, that like is backed by the pool, where it's like, if you have a like an amp, a natural.
That's where they have Dreamscape.
Well, Dreamscape, and they have another one happening that's coming up weekend.
They have
but building it around it and having it intrigues me, because some of it's a sound ordinances that like they can't be going 5 a.m. blasting without it being unadulterated. So it's like,
it costs a lot of money.
Well, it costs a lot of money, and you see Lost Lands just says fuck it and pays the bill, and for playing music loud as fuck in the nature. So it's like, there's ways to do it. There's different ways, you know. I tell myself I'm being different by going to this other venue, but like, it's just this guy, he does Jungle Days. I'm trying to do a little heavier, but if we can merge scenes,
no, it's important. Merging scenes.
It's like saying we're gonna do Burning Man but call it Burning Woman. It's just a different idea, but the same shit. And so it's I appreciate that idea. I appreciate you, Alex, because you're a beautiful individual. I appreciate you getting on.
For having me. The
last thing I'm going to need you to do is to look at camera 1 and just say, my name is Alex Dixon, and everybody eats.
Oh my God.
And that's simple. It's simple. Simple as that.
It's re-up Alex, and everybody eats.
Fucking re-up. Make sure, re-up Alex. Every Thursday, Re-Up podcast drops. They're way more in tune with the scene, and the DMV scene, but also the art scene. Brother. I mean, and when I say DMV, they're based out of the DMV. They're interviewing anyone and everyone who deserves to be interviewed. And they are like, bro, never stop. Never. And I keep DMing people. You're not special, but Deadass never stopped creating, because you have a beautiful mind. You're meant for this shit. It is only up from here, but it is Deadass. Seeing the growth is beautiful, brother. I love you.
Dude, thanks for having me on.
Fucking right.
Appreciate you, brother.